That was about an hour ago. I'm sure it's more than that by now. And the winds continue to move this fire to the westerly direction toward Calamasa. And from what I understand, Bogert Park, people familiar with this area north of Beaumont, has been run over by the fire as well. Reporting live from Cherry Valley, this is Kim Baldonado. Back to you in the studio.
Somehow it's more comforting, Pat, I think, to know that it's not arson, huh?
That's for sure. Kim, thank you. A note to our viewers who are watching in the Banning area. We want to tell you about some shelters right now. There are two to tell you about. Beaumont City Hall is one of them. If you need shelter in the Banning area, you can go to Beaumont City Hall. That's at 550 East 6th Street. And the new Banning High School, located at 100 Westward Street. And if you look at your screen, we have those the names of the facilities and the addresses for you. New Banning High School and Beaumont City Hall. Look at this picture here. I believe we're going to go. Like, yeah, that is. After it's, well, today, if you looked up, you saw the Santa Ana winds just cleared out the skies, beautiful blue. And then
when everybody said, gee, the fire isn't going to jump the highway, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think after what they saw in Laguna, nobody's sure of anything.
Okay, Marta, we have a report. If we look just to the right, to the screen there, or to your left.
Yeah, over there.
Yeah.
Okay, Olin, point. Okay, do we see, is that the flame you're talking about, Hal?
Yeah, we see it coming down there.
Okay, now I'm not sure how far away that is. You know, in the smoke, you kind of lose your sense of distance.
Right, we were just talking about that. You become a bit disoriented because of all the smoke, and you lose reference to the horizon. But if you'll stand by, we are going to go down that road just a little bit to contact Bob Navarro. Bob, are you on the line?
What's your name, sir?
Bob?
Hello.
Yeah, Bob. Yeah, Bob, go ahead.
Hi, Hal. We're at the corner of Topanga Canyon Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway, where it's been a chaotic scene for the last couple of hours. With me, Captain John Tripp, Los Angeles County Fire Captain. Where do we stand at this moment? What's going on here?
All we are doing right now is we're assigning resources, and I have resources coming in right now. We're assigning the Las Flores Canyon for structural protection, okay? Structural protection at PCH in Las Flores.
And the highway remains closed going south, correct?
That's right. We have houses burning on the highway. We can't let cars over.
So that's been the situation, Hal, and as you can see, Grady, if you'll pan to your right, the way the traffic is stacked up on Pacific Coast Highway, easily back a couple of miles. And then, Grady, if you'll slowly come back this way, you can see the situation has been. And then off to my right, people still being evacuated off of Topanga Canyon, where they were stalled here for about an hour. It's been virtual gridlock here as they move.
Green, they're going to spell us. We'll spell them later. But I was up there and listening, and I cannot tell you how the entire newsroom reacted when we realized that the situation we saw you in, which was bad in and of itself, the sky was red all around you. There were the worst-looking pictures we'd seen. And when we heard your truck stalled up there, I can't tell you the thoughts and the feelings that went through us. And we are so grateful that you're all right.
Thank you. Linda wants to talk to you. Hang on a second.
Okay, well,
Christine?
Yes,
I
Linda.
just talked with some sheriff's deputies. They said, and you probably already know this, but just in case you don't, it has not jumped Malibu Canyon yet.
Okay, it has not jumped Malibu Canyon. It looked terribly close in a lot of situations. That's a good piece of news for us to hear and to relay to everyone who is listening.
Yeah, Christine, this deputy had just driven through the canyon.
Okay, well, then that's the best possible information we can get. The information is difficult. That's as firsthand as we can get it. In many cases, because of the tremendous smoke that we saw you in earlier and that so many people are in, it's hard from the air to ascertain exactly what's happening. So,
no, I know, it's just a big smoke haze, I'm sure, from up there. Down here, again, Coast Highway is, this area, Coast Highway is not jammed. It's jammed to the south and jammed to the north. But there are fire trucks lining it here. They're trying to keep it as it's coming down this river, into Sierra Retreat. It's going to hit Malibu Creek. And so this whole shopping plaza is going to be saved because it'll hit the water, basically, and burn itself out. They're trying to keep it from jumping over Coast Highway into the colony. I can see the colony. I'm standing basically in front of it, and nothing's wrong there yet. It's just a tremendous amount of smoke. You can barely, see in front of you.
We've been hearing again and again that they're about to evacuate Malibu Colony. Is that still the case? Have they started to leave? Do you see any evidence of people leaving their homes?
Some people are leaving. Basically, what happens up here is a lot of people who rent homes are the first to leave, and the deputies go through and tell them it's dangerous. The deputies like to evacuate as early as possible to spare themselves these traffic jams. So a lot of people that rent, that don't really have a stake in the home, tend to leave. Many people who own the homes, who've owned them for a long, long time, they have a history in Malibu of staying with those houses, of getting on the roofs, watering them down. And it's proven time and time again that many people who do stay with their homes are able to save their homes. So many people are saving, so it's kind of half and half around here, you know, about stuff like that.
Right. I guess when you've got the advantage of being by the water, and certainly there's got to be some advantage that maybe you can get away with it there. Otherwise, they sure do tear their hair out over everybody's impulse. It's understandable about staying with their home. It makes so much sense. You know, you see your home and everything you love. You see the garden hose in your hand. You see the water coming out of it, and they're completely unrealistic about how much water could ever come out of that hose. And that impulse to leave it, hand it over to the professionals, is a very hard one to make.
Well, you know, Christine, I live 2 canyons over on Corral Canyon. And I just spoke with my mother up there, and she's out there with the hose, and there's black smoke over the house. But one time, about 10 years ago, when the fire came right across the street from us, she first was afraid when she saw it 2 canyons over. And then when it got that close...
Knock you off balance.
Okay, we are going to switch away from you for a few moments. I want to chat with Jan, Carl, and Larry McCormick here just for a moment. Then we're going to get back to you and to both of our helicopters that are in the skies over Malibu. And I want to ask, because Jan and Larry live in different parts of the LA basin, did you see the fire at all? Could you see it from where you are?
Yes, I could see it very clearly, but it looked like it was a long ways away. A very, very odd set of circumstances to look at Los Angeles as it is today, because on the eastern side of the city, it is pristine clear. The Santa Ana winds have cleaned it out. It's a Chamber of Commerce day. And then you look to the west, and it looks like a conflagration.
I was mentioning that when I came in, I was on the west side of town, and suddenly everyone was there saying, wow, look at that. It looked like a mushroom cloud. It was just a huge explosion of fire. And by the way, there is evidence that it once again was a case of arson.
Yes, we know that most of the other fires that we have been covering for the last few days were at least 95% contained as of the end of News of 10 last night, so it seems extremely unlikely that this could have been a spark from one of those.
Let me just cut away here. Steve Lentz, I understand, is up in Jet Ranger 5. Let's go live to Steve Lentz. Steve?
Hal, right now we're just flying over Pacific Coast Highway. The fire has just jumped the highway. We are looking down at it. You can see it's burning just to the north of a fire station down there. We are near Rambla Pacifico, and it has crossed the highway. It is burning at the front of one of those beach homes. We can see a fire unit moving up toward it now. There's very thick smoke here. Of course, the fire is moving in what would be a southerly direction and an easterly direction. Traffic is, of course, backed up all the way. The evacuation is going southerly on Pacific Coast Highway in towards Santa Monica. A few moments ago, we watched a few water drops being made that if you're looking out there now, you can see the fire is very close to a ridge of homes.
North of the 10 freeway, this home, it is going to go, and there was a car parked in the way, but this was one of the folks that had evacuated. They did what they were told to do. Firemen, they have plenty of equipment. I talked to Mike Harris, who is the head of the fire department here in Riverside County, and he said they've been very fortunate because they did not release equipment from the fire of last week. So they had plenty of equipment, but this area is so congested. It is almost being like being along Malibu Canyon and some of those areas. Very narrow roads, very hard to get to. This is some of the tape that we shot of a barn and a couple of horse barns. The people's concern for their animals here is truly amazing. And this is indeed horse country, and there were a lot of people getting their animals out. In front of this fire, people have opted to stay as long as they can with their buildings, but you can see what they're facing. And there's very little that the firefighters seem to be able to do when you have such heavy fuel and big trees like this. And once these start, then the wind catches them and they become torches and pass sparks along. And then the fire will break off to the left and to the right. There was one area where they set up a command post, a temporary command post, and a lot of the news vehicles were there. It wasn't a good situation to be in for sure. This is another house that went up. We saw, and they have confirmed, 5 homes. Okay, they saved the one house, but 5 homes have burned in this area off Avenida Bella. That's up in the Cherry Valley area. Here's one fella doing what he could. This home, this was a barn that is lost. And then there are a couple of other barns before we get to some truly wrenching scenes of people that have tried to stay too long in an area like this. and we've had some confirmation that there have been 5 people that have suffered various burns in this fire when they stayed. This is a little triage area at the fire station, and they had 3 people that they were putting in various ambulances to take them to the hospital. And in a moment, we'll get a chance to talk with one of the firemen who was up at the scene retrieving a lady's purse. We understand the situation, and you'll see, I believe this is husband and wife, and apparently they tried to get to their home. They had in their pickup truck in front of their house their dogs and their possessions. You can see the lady's hair is singed. We don't know the nature of her burns. She is very upset, as one could imagine. They were able to get to the vehicle. They're trying to give her oxygen at this point before they put them in a car. There were 3 people that were taken from this one home. As I say, we have confirmation that 5 people have been injured up here in the Cherry Valley area. I would say the gentleman who was with her seems to be far worse off than the woman. For some reason, we noticed very obvious burns on his arms, and undoubtedly it was one of those situations where they were in undoubtedly a burning home, or one that had and they were trying to retrieve some valuables, I would assume, and they were just trapped by the flames before the firemen could get to them. The ambulances were called in code 3, and they're taking them to the nearest hospital where they'll be treated. And in just a moment, we talk with one of the firemen who could tell us anything at all about what happened in this particular area. What is happening? This fire is moving, as we say, to the west. Thank heavens, the winds appear to be dying down just a little bit. And I know this morning we read the report, and they said that maybe they would die down at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, that didn't happen, but it does appear that the winds, even up in that area where these scenes are taking place, up in Cherry Valley at the fire station 22, and so they're putting these people in the ambulance, taking them away. And that's pretty much the situation as we saw it. The gentleman who we talked to said that he couldn't say much, that he was there when they got the people out, and that appears to have what's happened here. But 2,000 people, Cherry Valley is nearly evacuated. Some people will try to go in. Yes, if we could. I think we will get, we'll have a little bit of talk with one of the firemen who retrieved the lady's purse, and he was there when they got her. I think that would be helpful, possibly, in helping us to understand just exactly what happened. But there are people that are going, the police are trying to do the best job they can, trying to keep people out of the community, but they're going around the barricades. For some reason, they feel compelled to try to get to animals or people at home, and they are, maybe foolishly, going into the area. What she told you, where'd you pick these people up?
Well, they were at a house up the hill here. I don't know if they tried to get out. Their pickup was down the road, has their 2 dogs in it and their purse, and I was asking her what to try to do with the dogs.
Sure. Okay. Do they appear to be badly injured?
No, the dogs?
Oh, the dogs and the people?
No, the dogs are fine. They were inside the vehicle. Okay, I don't know what the extent of their injuries are.
Okay.
Can you get a briefing real quick from the medic?
Okay. So that's pretty much the situation here with those folks. Apparently, their injuries do not appear to be very serious, and we certainly hope not. There's one other report of a fire in Pedley. As we were talking with the fire chief, they said about 100 acres in Pedley, and that was 20 minutes ago, but that could be an eternity, and 100 acres could grow into several 100 acres by that time. But they said that along the 60 freeway in Pedley, very dense smoke, and the flames were getting close to some residences. So that's pretty much the situation. I think it's going to be a chaotic evening here in the Cherry Valley area. There's no doubt about that. Rick and John are up there covering the pictures there, and we'll bring them to you just as quickly as we get them out.
While we still have you there, just a couple of advisories. The American Red Cross, and this is for people in the Banning area. Beaumont City Hall on the 500 block of East 6th Street, and the new Banning High School at 100 Westward Street. Those are Red Cross evacuation shelters. Just for your information and for the viewers in the Inland Empire who might be affected by this. There will be food, snacks, and a registered nurse at both of those evacuation centers by the Red Cross.
We'll hope to visit them, too.
Okay, thanks, Bob.
Okay, bet you do. And I'm glad to hear that Bob is talking about the winds dying down there just a little bit. That's so terribly important. We've had these 50-mile-an-hour gusts plaguing us in some areas. Hope that holds. It was certainly true just as we were speaking to him, and as he pointed out. And Dallas, however, tells us another bit of information. He says that they're going to be plaguing firefighters possibly throughout the evening. That's the worst possible news, and we certainly hope that that changes. The people that he showed us there, the injured people, classic signs of shock. Very important to keep them warm. That's what they were doing, that trembling, that shaking. People dealing with some shock symptoms, which are classic in this kind of a situation, but they're getting help, and that's a darn good thing. 5 injuries there in the Beaumont Banning area.
We're back looking at some live pictures from Newscopter 7 of the fire that has now moved into the Malibu area. And a moment ago, we had Ellie Brecky from the Federal Aviation Administration on the phone. Ellie, are you still there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, great. We heard some reports that there was a repeater that is used by Los Angeles International Airport on one of those mountaintops that had been pretty much put out of commission by this fire.
Far, it looks like the plan is working. The wind has died down.
Is that a highly populated area, Gail? Are there many homes around there?
Lots of large properties, lots of ranches we've seen. We've seen a mobile home park that we passed to get here. Lots of people in pockets. Several wide open spaces. We've seen lots of brush burning out here, and then we see several pockets of communities. We were over in Highland Springs, and the fires seem to just keep heading in this direction, and so that's what brought us to Cherry Valley.
Gail, I just saw something blow by. Are those embers blowing by you and blowing around you?
I am in something of a rain fire as they try to keep the embers from that barn from moving to this house. Moments ago, I've got to be singed. Everything on me has got to be singed. One of the firefighters standing here, I think Eric sort of panned past him. His neck got burned in the process here. This was so hot, and then the fires from this barn caught the tree next to it. So at this moment, the firefighters are determined to keep that from moving over here.
All right, Gail, we are going to return to you in just a few minutes to give us a progress report on how they're doing. But right now, Steve Lentz is in position where he told us he was going to give us a view of what that fire in Malibu is like from the ridge.
Polling has been for the last hour. On the ground is our Bill Gephardt with the very latest. Bill?
Yeah, Kerry, it's very scary out here. It went from a sunny day to a black, murky, cloudy day with all of this smoke right behind me. You're looking at the community of Malibu Beach. Now, Malibu Beach is just north of the community of Malibu. And you can see some of those dark flames, and very often just coming over that ridge, which is only
very brief periods of time and then flare up again. That's hope that's not the case, but it can happen. You're looking at a live picture now from Sky 9 over the area of Banning in Riverside County, and that's where our Tracy Savage is now, where we understand fires are burning there. Tracy?
Well, yes, Pat, we are actually right over downtown Banning. We are on the east side of this fire, and this is actually where the fire started, and it made its way west. Just in the last 15 minutes or so, things have improved significantly. As you're looking at our live picture, you can see a lot of white smoke. We're not seeing the thick, black, heavy smoke that was filling the sky just about a half an hour ago. Now, the fire was working its way west, but at a point, it started coming back east, and there are plenty of homes in the Banning area that appear to be threatened, but the air attack seems to be working. We've been watching, in fact, a tanker may be going across our screen any second now. We've been watching tankers drop water. We've been watching 3 firefighter helicopters drop lots of water on this fire. They've set up portable tanks on the hillside here, and the choppers just move right on in, pick up another bucket full of water and drop it off, and it appears to be working. Now, we have seen some structures, about 3 or 4, go up in flames, and we have been told, we've been listening to air traffic, that about 4 people have been injured. In fact, just about a half an hour ago, a medevac was called into airlift. 2 people, we believe they are civilians. They were injured. We don't know the extent of their injuries. But again, just in the last 15 minutes or so, things are looking better here on the east side. Now, over on the west side where we were earlier is the Wildwood Estates that is in Cherry Valley. And the fire had actually made its way up the side of the mountain, was working its way down towards some beautiful homes in the Wildwood Estates. But they have been working very hard. Firefighters have been just dropping lots of water, and at this point it seems to be working. Pat?
All right. You know what? From what we understand, again, Tracy, we heard that that particular fire was started by downed power lines. Is that correct? Did you hear that?
You know, I have not heard that, but that's a definite possibility for the simple reason the wind was blowing so hard out here when we got here. 35 to 40 mile an hour gusts, that's enough to put down a power line, and that's a definite possibility, but we've not been hearing that on our traffic up here.
Okay, as we look at these live pictures coming from Sky 9 in Banning, this is one of two major brush fires still burning out of control in Southern California this afternoon. We have live helicopter coverage over both of them. This one in Banning and, of course, at the Malibu Calabasas fire as well. And as we take a look at these live pictures over Banning, just an update on a story that we told you about earlier, and that was the Saddle Peak fire. We had a call from an engineer who was on top of Saddle Peak, Pat, remember? The fellow, and the fire had just swept over the top of the peak and destroyed quite a bit of electronic equipment. Well, we can now tell you that a mountaintop repeater on Saddle Peak that was used to help route airliners through the skies around Southern California was destroyed this afternoon when that fire swept over the peak. However, the good news is that there is backup equipment and that flights operating normally out of LAX have continued their operations. And by the way, that engineer had ducked into a building up there, a brick building, and he is okay.
Yeah, that gentleman is Don Pruitt. He ducked into an air-conditioned brick building.